Hi, this is Barry Chertov with WaccoBB.net, and I have with me this morning Woody Hastings, who's the Renewable Energy Implementation Manager of the Climate Protection Campaign. Good morning, Woody.
Good morning, Barry. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, my pleasure. So you're leading up the charge for the Sonoma Clean Power. Do I have that right?
Yes, the Climate Protection Campaign has been identified community choice aggregation, and Sonoma Clean Power is a community choice aggregation program, identified it in the mid-2000s, and we have been leading the charge on it, yes.
So what exactly is a community choice aggregation?
So community choice aggregation is a local program that buys and may generate electrical power for residents and businesses. It's established by California state law that was passed in 2002 that allows local governments, counties, municipalities, cities, to take a portion of the electricity service, in this case, generation. It's just revolves around the generation, meaning where does the power come from? Solar, wind, nuclear. And so it doesn't involve the transmission and distribution, the poles and wires. So Pacific Gas and Electric would continue to operate and maintain that grid. The community choice aggregation is just a line item on your electric bill that you will still get from Pacific Gas and Electric, but it will say Sonoma Clean Power, and your electricity is coming from sources chosen by the community, Sonoma Clean Power in this case.
So Sonoma Clean Power would organize where the power is purchased from, and I presume PG&E would be one option, but you'd have other options.
Oh, actually, no. PG&E would not be an option in this case. So this is, and in fact, it's funny. PG&E actually doesn't do a lot of their own generation per se. They actually purchase power from other independent third-party energy generators, folks that operate, for example, the geysers. They buy a lot of power from the geysers right here in Sonoma and Lake County, and from natural gas plants, and that kind of thing. They do have some of their own generation, but most of it is just purchase. So Sonoma Clean Power would actually be purchasing from other entities. And also, I think critically importantly for Sonoma County, Sonoma Clean Power can be involved in developing some of its own generation here in the county, which very importantly is what can help us to boost our local economy, increase jobs by getting energy efficiency is part of this too. So energy efficiency and renewable energy deployed here in the county.
So what would be some of those local options?
Well, you mean some of the local options for the kinds of resources
to generate power?
Number one is, let's remember the first best thing you can do is reduce the amount of power you're using. We call it negawatts. For megawatts that you don't use are negawatts with an N. And so that's the first thing you can do. And a CCA, Sonoma Clean Power, also has the ability to take on the public funds that are, there's a little fee on everyone's electric bill that goes towards these public funds, and the incentives and rebates and other programs that are available through PG&E are actually funds that come from those fees. So we all pay for those programs, and Sonoma Clean Power in Sonoma County, it's about $12 million that the county pays for those programs, and we're pretty sure we don't really get the best bang for the buck the way it's currently run. And so Sonoma Clean Power would have the opportunity through state law to elect to take over at least some of those funds, if not all of them, and administer its own energy efficiency program. So that's critically important to start with, that we could reduce our load. Then you have to then there's less power that you need to to purchase or to build and generate. So then the other resources, I think there's 4 principal resources we're talking about. Solar, clearly one of the most folks are familiar with solar photovoltaics. It can go right on a rooftop, right where the power is needed. And then there's wind. There are some areas in the county where I think some appropriate wind turbines. Wind technology could be applied. Certainly, we don't want to blanket the hillsides with wind turbines, and we don't want to put them near where people live. But I think there may be some appropriate places. And actually, I want to just mention regarding wind, there's a really neat little installation because there's the technology is developing as all of these technologies are, and some smaller scale, neighborhood scale wind generation turbines are coming out, and you can see one on top of Sebastopol hardware. There's a little wind turbine there, a little 2 kilowatt wind turbine right on top, and they also have photovoltaics on their roof. So it's a little mini renewable energy facility there with the wind and the solar. And then there's also, of course, in our county, fortunately, the geysers, geothermal power. So we will have an ability to actually directly contract for some of that power and possibly even partner with some private sector developers to develop some of the additional capacity that research shows is up there at the geysers. And the last one I'll mention, Sonoma County is an agricultural county, so there are feedstocks, what we call feedstocks, available. A feedstock can be something like chicken poop. Chicken poop actually has a high content of usable energy in it that you can extract, produce methane, and you got to be careful with it because you don't want that methane escaping. That is a greenhouse gas, so you have to manage the methane. But anyway, you can collect that methane and produce electrical power. Then there's also a variety of other agricultural biomass, we call it, green waste, biomass, that kind of thing that can be used as a feedstock to generate electricity. There are others, but those are the four principal ones, yeah.
Are there other principal energy sources that you would look to get power from that would be different from how PG&E does it? What's the change of where the power is going to come from that are not necessarily local?
Well, and actually, I think the key is actually the localization of it is what's really different and interesting, and something that the existing model doesn't accommodate. This isn't happening in a vacuum, this being Sonoma Clean Power and community choice aggregation programs. There is sort of a global revolution underway in the energy world where there are two factors, computers, information technology, and these new, what we call distributed forms of renewable energy, solar and wind and others. And when you combine the two, you have the ability to create a diversified, resilient, clean portfolio of localized power, putting the power much closer to where it's used so you avoid that long-range transmission and distribution. Going from this old model, we call it the central station model, where you have large coal, natural gas, nuclear power plants, distant from where the load centers are, where the people are that use the power, and then it's transmitted over long distances, and it's sort of a one-way system with not a lot of intelligence applied to it. The model that is transforming really around the world just by dint of these new technologies that are emerging allows for a much more diversified system where each user of the power can become a producer of it. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about how there's opportunities involved in this, opportunities for residents and businesses, and more choice by virtue of the localization. And the current model, getting back to your question, the difference is that the current model isn't interested in smaller projects. The investor-owned utilities, which PG&E, there are three big investor-owned utilities in the state: Pacific Gas and Electric, Southern California Edison, and San Diego Gas and Electric. They all pretty much run on that model of the big power plants and the transmission, and then you just get what they offer you. The model that's emerging would allow for a localized, we call it actually a sort of an internet of energy, where there's two-way information flow, and the system itself can know where power is needed and where it's not, and so it can be redirected. So there's exciting things about that, about the localization of it, and that's something that the Sonoma Clean Power can serve as an excellent vehicle for advancing this. So there are things we can do to help paved the way for that to come sooner. And the benefit of it coming sooner is, one, that people can have more choice and more opportunity to participate. Secondly, we can accelerate the degree to which we're reducing greenhouse gas emissions.
Great. Well, thanks for that. So again, if in Sebastopol right now we don't have a choice, if the city decides to sign up for Sonoma Clean Power, then at some point when that kicks in, people by default will get their power through Sonoma Clean Power, and then they have an option to opt out. Is that,
the way
correct?
It's designed as an opt-out, and there are a lot of reasons for that, but just the enormous multi-million-dollar marketing campaign that it would take. The state legislature deemed that this was a situation where it just makes more sense to have it be an opt-out program, and there are a minimum of 4 notices that folks will get in a period 2 months before and 2 months after the launch, where there's a minimum requirement for notices to make sure folks know about this program, and that if they want to stay with PG&E, you opt out, and there are multiple ways you can do that: over the phone, over the internet, send in a little card, that kind of thing. Historically, and there are CCAs back east, and the one here in Marin, it tends to be about a 20% rate of the folks that opt out is about 20%. So I think we're looking at counting on that as we launch the program, that about 20% of the people might opt out. But that still leaves you with quite a viable number of meters to use in the program to make it viable.
Would there be a price difference between PG&E and local community aggregation?
Yeah, that's something that right now, is the process that's underway, is to determine what do we think that the costs and or the rates might be. See, this gets into the weeds a little bit, because there's you get an electric bill, and the bill has rates in it. And so, there's this real complex look at it where, the rate might be a little higher, but your overall bill, because of other aspects of the program, might be lower.
What's the experience been down in Marin County?
Marin County was able to announce this past month in January that their average residential rate is lower. I think it was like $1.62 or something like that, lower than Pacific Gas and Electric.
Sweet.
So they're less than 3 years up and running, and they're beating PG&E on rates, and that's for their basic service, which is 50% certified renewable. It started out at 27 in 2010, 27%, and it's gone up to 50%. So you get 50%. Half of your generation comes from certified renewable power, and you're getting it for less than what you'd pay to PG&E for 20%.
Great. How about that?
They're doing a great job down there.
Yeah, cool. All right, let's go back a little bit here, and let's remember that it was thanks to Proposition 16 that we all fought so hard for to maintain the right to be able to have another option besides PG&E.
Right, or I would say fought so hard against.
Correct.
16, yeah, and thankfully the California electorate and the folks in Sonoma County in particular voted that down. In Sonoma County, it was something like 70% of the people voted against that, and I think that just shows that they saw right through all of the they called it a taxpayer's right to vote or something like that, and really it just was something that would have killed community choice aggregation in the state. So, I mean, I wouldn't be sitting here right now, and you wouldn't be talking to me in all likelihood.
Right.
Prop 16 had passed. So that was very important that was defeated, and that paved the way for CCAs in California to blossom. And there are, I would say, at least a dozen serious efforts underway in other counties, in San Diego, in San Luis Obispo, in Santa Cruz, in Yolo County, and there are new ones emerging all the time where they're taking a look at this. Hey, is this right for us? It gives us some opportunities for residences, opportunities for businesses. And I do want to get to some of these opportunities. We haven't talked about that yet. But there are serious, opportunities, meaning, money in your pocket type of opportunities that can come from Sonoma Clean Power.
So let's talk about that.
Sure. So right now, if you want to put solar on your roof, if you're a resident or a business, there's a certain deal that goes along with that, and it's not a great deal. So in most cases, when you pencil it out, the decision is to really size the system according to what your own on-site use is. There's not enough of an incentive. You don't get enough money back to make it worth your while to, if you have a sunny roof, to cover that entire sunny roof with photovoltaic panels. Not getting enough
To the
of
extent that you become a producer for other people.
right, a producer or a prosumer. You're consuming and you're producing. Anyway, so what's and that arrangement is called, it's called in the industry net metering, and so what we are, Sonoma Clean Power will be able to offer, and by the way, none of this is for sure. This is just the potential benefits, and it's pretty highly likely that we will do this. They're doing it in Marin, and there's no reason why we couldn't do it in Sonoma Clean Power, which is to give a better deal, offer a better price for the power, surplus power that a homeowner or a business feeds onto the grid. Related to that, for project developers, that where you might want to, you have a warehouse roof or a fallow piece of land that's not really suitable for farming or something like that, former industrial site. A renewable energy project developer might want to site a facility, and they could take advantage of something called a feed-in tariff, a wonky term, but what it means is you will get a guaranteed rate that pencils out, makes sense for, as an investment, and it's for a given period of time, over 20 years or whatever. One of the beauties of locking into those kinds of deals for Sonoma Clean Power, and by the way, Sonoma Clean Power would be the buyer of that power, and it would go to all the folks in the county. It would generate local jobs. It would, help boost the local economy, so that's generating the power locally and a benefit to the folks here. So those are some of the benefits. Any business, no matter what you're in, business you're in, if you have a parking lot where you could put solar shade structures or a rooftop where you could put solar panels, that revenue, that revenue drain can become a profit stream for a business, no matter what business you're in. So it's not just a potential benefit for the solar installers. Of course, it is for them or for any other renewable energy developer. Certainly, there's potential benefit for labor and for jobs in that arena. But also, no matter what business you're in, if you have a warehouse or a commercial building of some sort, hey, there's opportunities.
Or just a large roof.
Yeah, any large roof.
Yeah.
It needs to get enough sunshine, and so sometimes you've got these factors where there's too much shade from trees or other buildings or what have you, that kind of thing. But
so this could really lead to an explosion of solar generation in the county.
Well, we see that. I mean, that's part of the reason why the Climate Protection Campaign has been looking at this, as I said, from the mid-2000s. Climate Protection Campaign issued a white paper on community choice aggregation in 2005. And then in the 2008 Climate Action Plan, which is at coolplan.org, CCA was highlighted very prominently in that as really the number one way to not so much wave a magic wand and make something all new happen, something different happen, but to really accelerate what's already happening. We've already got about 50 megawatts of photovoltaics installed in Sonoma County, and the current pace is about 4 megawatts a year. And this is capacity terms. So what we're seeing is that we do believe that we could possibly double that pace at which it's going in. And solar is beautiful because, it's the kind of thing where in most cases it's on a rooftop or it's in a parking shade structure, and it's either something you don't see or something that, hey, parking shade, don't we all want that, and it's helpful. It's sort of a really great dual purpose thing. If they've got, I don't know if folks have seen up by the Wells Fargo Center, they put in some new parking shade structures, and at the water agency parking shade structures. I think that's an absolutely excellent application for solar because it doesn't take up farmland, for example. We don't want to take up our valuable agriculture and farmland with solar panels. Let's put it on the built environment first. Take advantage of that and help protect our cars from the sun beating down on them and that kind of thing.
Sounds like a great thing. So where are we at now, and what can we do to, get it going? How can people get involved?
Sure. So the Water Agency initiated the process in March of 2011 with a feasibility study, and they've been carrying it forward in the sort of official sense as the lead agency. And then just last December, the beginnings of the legal entity, Sonoma Clean Power, was launched. Right now, it's just the Water Agency and the county itself, and over the coming months, Sebastopol will be asked, hey, do you want to join this or not? So folks need to sort of dial in, visit the Climate Protection Campaign's website. We do have a page there. SonomaCleanPower.org is where you can find some information. And then the Water Agency has the feasibility study and a number of other studies and things that have come forward to this point. And there will be a decision-making process for the city of Sebastopol and the other eligible cities in the county. So it's really participating in that process, I think, is a key thing. Letting your elected reps know, whether it's a city council member, and really, I'd say also is helpful, city staff. They look at this and they're wondering, gee, is this something that's going to be a big burden to me or whatever? And if you know city staff and a lot of I see the beauty of this to me is it's, most of the elected officials in this county, they're people we know, they're our neighbors, and you can talk to them and that kind of thing. Let them know you support it. And in particular support the version of it where we really emphasize the local benefits and the local deployment of the resources, because you can do this. A CCA, let me just say, it is a sort of a neutral vehicle. You can launch a CCA and decide you want to do nuclear power, right? I don't think that's what we're looking at. You can do a CCA and decide you want to buy coal. I don't think we want to do that. And you can do a CCA and decide you want to buy all of your renewable energy from the San Joaquin Valley or the Coachella Valley or distant wind and distant solar, big solar, things out in the desert or whatever. I don't think we want to do that either. I think what we want to do is we want to build a local, diversified, resilient system that helps to boost the local economy by creating jobs here, whether it be in efficiency, energy efficiency, or putting solar panels on rooftops, or maybe, putting some wind turbines in places where it makes sense. And that is where we really get a wonderful benefit for the county and help to continue the economic recovery.
Great, thanks. So I look forward to seeing this happen. I'm sure I and our compatriots will be there providing whatever support we can. And I look forward to the day when I feel better about our power.
Thanks, Barry. And yeah, so if folks, I'm sure, folks might have questions and we maybe didn't cover everything. So I'd be happy to do this again. And if folks have any questions, I can be reached at woody@climateprotection.org. And my phone number is 525-1665, extension 117. And our website is climateprotection.org.
And we can also post whatever questions on the WACCO website, and we'll get them answered there as well so everybody can see.
Right.
Great. Thank you, Woody. I really appreciate your time and your good work.
Thanks, Barry.
All righty. Bye-bye.
Take care.